Good Tuesday morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard our joint live trade brief, man. A lot going on. I'm going to live stream this one on YouTube right now because just, I mean, an hour is a lifetime in this market, in this country, in this world. A lot of stuff going on that we need to cover. Thank God we put on our bearish trudge. Did everybody get their trudge on last week? What's a trudge? It's a trade that I'm pretty damn sure is going to make money. That's also going to serve as a hedge to protect my long-term bullish positions. I told you this last week. I said, get ready for that February train wreck. And it's here. Look at that. The S&P 500 is down 1.5% right now. And that trade is currently up 52%. So 52% in a couple days. I think we got more to go to the downside, and we're going to dig into those reasons why. Not only because of Trump and Greenland, but we might be getting the tariff decision from the Supreme Court today. We had a little freak out last week, like, oh, we might get the decision today. Market pulled back. They punted. I'm starting to see reports that it might come today. I don't think it's going to be favorable for the Trump administration. So we have a lot to cover, a lot going on. Good stuff. Remember, here at Top Gun Options, we can potentially print money up, down, or sideways. I just showed you a trade that's making printing money today. Look at Raytheon. Raytheon doesn't care what's going on in the market. Matter of fact, the more bad that's going on in the world, the higher Raytheon is climbing. Look at RTX, man. To the moon. Look at this thing. Just straight up. It is a hockey stick, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not long-term bullish on Raytheon, do it yesterday. Okay, couple things. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page, which is growing. That's awesome. Every once in a while, I do one of these live streams just to show folks kind of a view of what we do here. But make sure you're subscribed because we are. I've dedicated. It's in my 2026 board. I will do a Monday market outlook, a Wednesday market intel brief, and a Friday market wrap up. So I will be doing these a lot more consistently because I've gotten a lot of things airborne that needed to get airborne last year, and I'm really excited with everything that's going on. On that note, before we get into some potential bad, is great weekend, folks. So this past weekend we had 6 veterans, first responder, family members of veterans, and civilians join us in sacred ceremony this weekend. Just an absolute incredible. Again, this I fail sometimes to put into words. I mean, looking at a picture of this family right there, this veteran, he's like, this is it. That's God, and I have everything I need. It's just so powerful, folks. What we do here at Sacred Warrior Fellowship. That's my beautiful bride, Susie, holding space. If this calls to you, we have dates in February and March coming up, especially if you're up in the Great White North, freezing. Come on down here to beautiful South Florida. We'd love to have you. Thank you to everybody like Mo who supports our mission, who have donated to provide grants through No Fallen Heroes, and obviously Sacred Warrior Fellowship. If you're interested in the dates, there's a retreat page right here. You just scroll down to the bottom. What's February? February 20 to 22, and then March 27, 28, 29. Let me give you this link. You can just shoot me an email if you're interested. Wiz at Top Gun Options, Wiz at No Fallen Heroes. Info at Sacred Warrior Fellowship. So really good stuff going on with our entheogenic church down here. All right, here we go. Before I get airborne and we do our SOT, strategic, operational, tactical, I can't. Just speaking of a church, I don't think ever in the history of humans has the group that storms a church been the good guys. If Don Lemon isn't arrested by Friday, it's kind of over with as a country. These people are an absolute disgrace. I noticed that the nose and nipple ring brigade didn't storm a mosque, did they? But what these people did during church services on Sunday is just it's beyond reprehensible. And I was going to say it's funny. It's not funny. It's ironic that Democrats and liberals passed the FACE Act. How dare a grandmother pray in front of an abortion clinic? We want to throw you in jail for doing that. Republicans are like, are you kidding us? Well, if you do want to do that, we're also going to make the law that you can't do X, Y, Z, blah, 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 and in houses of worship. Democrats are like, okay, that'll never happen. And boom. So welcome to the consequences of your actions. So they clearly violated federal law by doing this. And then I love how Don Lemon's trying to do the I'm a journalist thing. So I posted on X yesterday. I'm like, as of today, I have a YouTube channel, social media, I do podcasts. I am a journalist because apparently journalists are above the law. They are not above the law, folks. It's so funny how they try and hide behind some journalist badge. If you break the law, you are breaking the law. Nowhere in the First Amendment, Second, anywhere does it say asterisk journalist. You're exempt from federal law. So arrest these people and throw them in jail. By this time in the Biden administration, over 700 people from January 6th were indicted, arrested, or in jail. Get moving, Pan Bondi. This is just, it's an absolute disgrace what's going on. And Governor Walz and the mayor, like, if it would be all over in the blink of an eye if you simply said the illegals that are currently in our jails, why are some illegals currently in your jail? Oh, because they broke the law in your state. Okay, so they're criminals and we have a detainer. Like, hey, by the way, the feds want them after they get out of this jail. They're not doing that. So ICE has to go out and find these people. It would be over tomorrow if the state and local governments turned over the criminals. I'm over this. I posted my video from a while ago, the man who wanted to be left alone. You really, really, really are pushing. You're pushing, right? I think I've shared this before, but listen to that when you get a chance. I pray to God that we find some order. Now, here we go. This is almost like the old days where they talked about a monkey being in a room with the Wall Street Journal on the wall and it could throw a dart. Just throw a dart. And pick what you want to talk about, folks. The Greenland thing, the tariffs. Jerome Powell's going to the Supreme Court today isn't it funny? Lisa Cook, I don't care what you feel about Fed independence and the president can or can't fire her. She clearly committed mortgage fraud. So I'm going to support the independence of the Fed. Then why don't you fire her? She clearly, she signed this. That's my primary home. She lied. Kind of like Eric Swalwell's primary home is in Washington, D.C., and he can't run for governor. And technically, he's not allowed to be in Congress. But anyway, so we got Jerome Powell going to the Supreme Court. We might get the Supreme Court ruling on tariffs. We got Trump doubling down on Greenland, threatening tariffs. And, folks, this is insane. I saw a great meme. It showed like a mom, Donald Trump sitting at a table like a little kid and a mom saying, you can't have Greenland. You didn't even finish your Venezuela yet, right? So the problem with Trump, one of them, is he's very tactical. Right? Maduro's like on a plane to a courtroom in New York City, and he's like, all right, Raisin, General Kane, draw up plans to invade Greenland. What? So he starts firing tactically. As a Top Gun Options member, we operate by what? SOT. Strategic, operational, and then you do the tactics. That's how it's done, period. I don't care if I just do tactics and then I'll float up to what I want eventually. That might have worked in the business world. It doesn't work here, right? So his tactics of, draw up an invasion plan, do this, do that, do it. If you had gotten in front of the country and said, you know what, America, man, I'm kind of focusing on home for now, right? Xi's over there, Putin's over there. We got a lot of problems at home. Greenland, incredible, vast natural resources. It's essentially undefended. If Russia wanted to come over the top, it's not even a speed bump at this point. I would have sat there and said, okay, start like diplomatically doing things and negotiating. Instead, it's like, maybe we'll attack it. The hell are you doing? What are you doing? Couple things. I say the same thing I used to say neocon or war hawk Republicans. They're all Democrats now. Like war in Ukraine, more money and more war. You people used to be anti-war. Now it's because they get campaign donations from Zelensky and the money laundering over in Ukraine, but which was proven a couple years ago when Biden was president. But of course, we didn't really investigate that, did we? And Hunter Biden and all that shit. But anyway, my point being is this. Vladimir Putin thought he'd be goose stepping in Kyiv in 48 hours, right? It's 4 years. 4 years, a meat grinder. It's World War I trench warfare in Eastern Europe right now. But you're going to, Mr. President or European allies, you're going to tell me that Putin's going to steamroll across Europe through the Fulda Gap and be in Piccadilly Circus by noon? You think he's going to steamroll over Greenland and be walking down Bangor, Maine? No. So him getting on the plane, and Thursday, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do a special video on Thursday. Did the S&P bounce? No, it didn't, like it did last week. Now our Treasury is up 62% as the market keeps going down. So on January 22nd, does everybody, who was a TGO member back in? January 22nd, 2020, what did I do? It was a Wednesday morning. We were in accelerated retirement brief. I looked into this camera as Trump was talking to Joe Kiernan. Joe Kiernan's doing another interview with the president, just like he did on this fateful day. I looked into this camera and I said, get out. He's lying. Buy puts on the S&P 500, get long volatility. I still got that recording. It's archived. You can put it on my tombstone. What happened? I was right. COVID crash. He lied to Joe Kiernan. At the end of the interview, the president, before you leave, Mr. President, one more question. What's up with this China flu, this bug or whatever? Dumb question, Joe. You're an idiot. Nobody has dumber questions than you. I love Xi. I trust Xi. He's got a great backswing. He's been to Mar-a-Lago. Great guy. You're an idiot. Not coming here. We're prepared. Shut up. I knew he was lying, and I told you. I did outsider trading. We made I showed trades that made $2.5 million in 3 weeks. I wrote a book about it. So why am I rambling through this? Here we are 6 years later, Trump to Davos, Joe Kiernan interview with all of this stuff going on. So more of my commit criteria as to why this is going to be a big one. This will be a larger pullback than just, we're right at the 50 right now. We got further to go. China's 200,000 satellite filing sparks fears of an orbital power grab. 200,000. I want that to sink in. China has filed requests to reserve orbital slots for almost 200,000. Quick reminder, I'm not wearing a tinfoil hat right now. You don't need one to look at this. As I've said repeatedly, the first bullet shot by China in a war with us isn't a bullet. It's a keystroke. With a keystroke, when somebody hits enter on the People's Liberation Army command desk, all our satellites will be gone. Gone. Do you know all our Gucci ships and fighter jets and bombs all operate by what? GPS. GPS will be destroyed in the blink of an eye. Internet gone, banking. If you don't have paper money, if you don't have gold, look at the GLD, man. If you don't have gold, silver, paper money, and a lot of ammo and some generators, you're an idiot. You want to talk about, people are talking about Greenland and Putin storming across the Fulda Gap. I look at this stuff. 200. Do you understand that? We might not even be able to see the sun. 200,000. This is already old. I need to get rid of this stuff. This was old. How Trump went from locked and loaded to doing nothing on Iran. 25, 50,000. We'll never get a real number. Slaughtered. Donald Trump gave Barack Hussein Obama a ration of grief in 2013 when he did nothing about the Green Revolution. Obama's a coward. We need to support the Iranian people. He's awful. Put me in charge. Nothing. Yet, moving a battle group, pulling families out of gutter and Bahrain and some other places might be pre-positioning stuff. I will say yet. But he's like, oh, well, they said they're not going to kill any protesters, so I'm not going to do anything. They slaughtered protesters. They're executing them. The Grand Poobah said what? Butler, Pennsylvania, we won't miss next time. And you're going to, I mean, he like threatening the president's life and all sorts of shit. So what was the help is on the way, Mr. President? Again, the guy has proven to be able to do 90 things at once. I'm going to invade Venezuela. Now I'm moving over to Greenland, putting battle groups in Iran. I mean, it's absolute craziness going on. So, Scott, we have zero backup to GPA. Folks, it's, every once in a while, I saw in the Navy Times like a year ago that some ship sailed from like Hawaii. One of our destroyers sailed from like Hawaii to San Fran or San Diego using no GPS, just doing the noon. I don't remember how to do it. I had to do it in my ROTC class using a sextant. And they ended up like being 2 miles off, which was a victory. I'm like, oh my God, man. It's going to be like Master and Commander eventually. Technology is going to wipe us all out. Go watch Transcendence or whatever it's called with Johnny Depp. In Trump's drive for Greenland, NATO is the first casualty. Here we go. It's not funny. It's ironic to me that, Denmark or whoever just sent like a little plane of soldiers, dudes walking off, like, 100 guys. You all can't even defend your own countries from invasion, let alone Greenland. You're the Islamic Republic of the United Kingdom and Europe. You guys can't even stop an invasion of your own countries. So this is a big deal. We get a trade war with Europe is our biggest trading partner. I'm going to tariff people. Trump invited Macron to be on the Gaza or whatever it was called Peace Commission, and France said no. Trump said this morning, I'm going to hit you with 200% champagne tariffs, right? I'm not going to drop anchor here because we have a lot of trading and tactical stuff to do. Here's let me give you the summary slide here is kind of like Trump the first. We get to a point where, or the market gets to a point where we just kind of filter stuff out. Like I bought some drinking calls we can cover in a call on the S&P 500 in case we fill the gap today, because markets eventually settle, right? Like the VIX. The VIX pops on what? Uncertainty. Once something is known, it's known, and volatility tends to come in. The market in the first Trump term, I don't think it was as crazy as this that I can remember. Because remember, folks, he was on defense. He was impeached twice. Once for a phone call telling Ukraine, we're not giving you another dime. You're corrupt. Look into your corruption. Impeach. What? Anyway, the market might settle into this. We end up tuning things out, folks. We just don't. The market only cares when it cares. It cares today, but it cares today. Why? Because we need an excuse to sell off, folks. I told you it's seasonal, right? Financial earnings are behind us. It's a pack mentality. We're done. I don't care about Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Bank of America, Citigroup, Wells Fargo. On to the next stuff. Tech, cyclicals, defense. So February train wreck might be starting a little early right now. If we don't hold today, this 50-day moving average at 68.30, it'll be lookout below. We'll have one of these. That was an AI freak out. Remember, folks, this is a the hell's going on freak out. The next couple days, if we're not, Larry, did they give us an estimate of when the tariff decision will be? I mean, who's doing this, right? The financial media last week's like, it's going to be today. And then today was going to be today. And then this is weird. Is the Supreme Court doing this on purpose, or is somebody at the court doing this on purpose? We're death by 1,000 cuts. We're drawing this out so we can make it bigger than it is. I don't get it. Okay. But here's what he better start caring about. In Trump's economy, and voters are unhappy with it. Tell people in, Poughkeepsie why you're doing this with Venezuela and Greenland and, narco boats and just craziness. I care about the price of gas. I care about the cost of living. The buzzword is affordability, right? So where did he beat this horse to death? Trump wants to run the economy hot. I can't wait for his Fed nominee. I can't wait for the hearings. I'm going to have 2 bags of popcorn. It's going to be awesome. It'll be the best theater in a long time. Pocahontas is going to rip whoever it is to shreds. It's going to be great. But he better start caring. In a pivot on affordability, Trump just starts throwing shit at the wall to unveil a barrage of proposals. I saw one of them that said he might allow people to use 401ks for a house deposit or something like that. So he's maneuvering, but will it be enough? Remember, my prediction is they get destroyed in the midterms. However, playing a loop of crazy Democrats invading a Christian church with children. Folks, do you remember what happened 3 months ago? A trans loony shot up a Catholic church in the same city. You want to talk about terror? Those kids in that church, you see the pictures of parents like holding their kids from these crazy people? Play that on loop. Also play on loop the whole, I saw who was it? Axios did an interview with the 20 most probable, 20 Democrats, leading Democrats that are thinking about 28. One of them, Rahm Emanuel, because he's not an idiot, said that a man can't become a woman. All of the other ones hemmed and hawed and punted and didn't answer the question. So they're still holding on to the 2020 to 2024. So I'm telling you, man, and it's so funny because Tim, whatever his name is, like, it's such a rage bait question. No, it isn't. If you can't answer one of the most basic questions from the beginning of humanity, Chronos, if you can't, I don't care what anything else you have to say. You lose all credibility with me if you can't answer the most basic question. It's a screen, ladies and gentlemen. So I love the Democrats are like, that's just, it's a rage bait question and nobody cares about that. I do, because I need to know if I can believe anything else you have to say, and I won't. Rotation continues as market remains bullish. This was my Sunday read before I watched Indiana stomp on Miami last night. Market remains bullish. I posted this in all the member areas. This was a good read. I mean, I agree. Things are good and the bulls remain in control, blah, blah, blah. But I'm showing you this now because it's history. Why? Because in today's market, Trump getting on an airliner to go to Davos can send the S&P down 1.5%, right? So, all right, a little bit more and then we'll get tactical. Folks, are you not long-term bullish on the CBOE? If you aren't, you're an idiot. And I mean that with the full weight of the word idiot. SEC, I hate this. Hate's a strong word. I hate it. I don't want this. I want it for my long-term bullish CBOE position. I do not want this for my life. You want this if you're long-term bullish on CBOE. NASDAQ, Got approval for Monday and Wednesday stock options. My God. Well, I guess it'll fit my Monday, Wednesday, Friday free videos I'll be doing this year. This sucks. What are we going to do? CBOE. How many of you are not long-term bullish on CBOE so I can make fun of you? Ladies and gentlemen, this is a hockey stick. Look at the stock. Straight up, and it will not stop. I told you this in my video the other day. Willie Sutton finally got arrested. Reporter asked him, why did you rob banks? It's where the money is. CBOE is where the money is. This goes right to the bottom line of the Chicago Board Options Exchange. This is free money. All right, a couple people need a new one. I'll save that for when we get tactical. Folks, they're moving Asian options and 24/7 and these and that. This is how old I am. I was in the CBOE and CBOT. I worked there 2006 through 9, 10. I remember when they were talking about, we had monthly and quarterly options, folks. I remember I went to some weekly options meetings. I'm like, and I remember a lot of people wanted it. And I'm like, man, I kind of liked my monthly options. I had a short calls on. You didn't have to look at stuff every day. There you go, Jeff. Up over 200% on his CBOE trade. Soaring electricity costs are now a hot political issue. This will be a midterm issue. How dare you, Andy Jassy, Elon Musk, Altman, think that you're just going to build a data center in South Florida and I pay for it? Are you insane? These remind me, and I hate this too, dislike, NFL team owners. Taxpayers need to build my stadium. You're a billionaire. Yeah, well, we'll move. Leave. You're going to build my data center. You're a billionaire. Well, we'll go put it somewhere else. Leave. So this will be a political issue. You know, I'm long-term bullish on nuke. Buy the nuke names. Absolutely buy them. We talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago after Trump went after Halliburton and its rivals can't wait to get back into Venezuela. We talked about Schlumberger, didn't we? Let me give you this article if you didn't click on the link that I sent out. This is a good, there you go, Barry, over 300% in CBOE. All right, a couple more things and we'll get tactical. JP Morgan forms new team to get in on the boom in private markets. JP Morgan, ladies and gentlemen, is another name that I told you to buy with both hands and forget about it. It is also a hockey stick, ladies and gentlemen, straight up. Great earnings last week. We have an iron condor on JP Morgan, the 310, 315 that I'll cover in a couple minutes ago. What did I tell you? Because people, last week we put it on and people freaked out. I'm like, look, it already bounced off the bottom here. We're already back up. So I have a 315, 310 iron condor on with JP Morgan we can talk about in a second. One more thing, then we'll get tactical. 30 minutes. That's what I wanted. I'm working on right now, ladies and gentlemen. Did I close it? Damn it. I love ChatGPT, folks. This literally, and Claude, I'm in both. Where'd that go? Oh no, I'm working on some scripture. I got a lot going on with this church, man. I love it. Here it is. I'll send this out to you, but you need, how many times in the past year, folks, have you seen reports on alcohol consumption is getting destroyed? I don't even know who's behind me. What is it? Gen Z, X, millennial? Whatever. The younger folks, God love them, aren't boozing anymore. I know a bunch of guys that own clubs down here, restaurants. They're like, we are getting destroyed. A good friend of mine, her husband's a Green Beret medic. She owns Throw Social in Washington, D.C., Delray, and just opened a big one, Throw Social, down in Miami. She's like, Wiz, I need to get into the mushroom, the psychedelic business. So this is called a pairs trade. Get bearish on these alcohol names and get bullish on psychedelics. Wait, Wiz, those look bullish. No. Look at the chart. What's the name of the chart? Spirit Inventories. If you're not a business owner, let me tell you something. If you got a lot of inventory on the shelf that ain't moving, that's bad. How do we move it? Cut our prices or what, how will we make it up? Volume. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a great pairs trade, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I'll give you the link to this, but I mean, 3.2 million views. Whenever you see a news article, folks, think about, sadly, like October 8th, 2023. Israel just got invaded, thousands dead. Bullish on defense contractors. Oh my God, alcohol. Look at Las Vegas. Las Vegas, here, I want a gin and tonic. Great, that'll be $62. Are you insane? And it's a big ice cube. Nobody's going to Vegas anymore, folks. Vegas is dead. Casinos are dying. Alcohol's dying. Psychedelics are rising. It's called a pairs trade. We'll talk more about this tomorrow in AR, accelerated retirement, but I'm putting together a little pairs trade thesis and working some charts and some tactics and who to buy, who to sell, all sorts of stuff like that. But do some homework on your own, right? Hey man, you're right, Wiz. Alcohol's getting hammered. People are getting healthier. Maha, make America healthy again. And other people suck. All right, so yeah, Definium. It was weird last. Holy crap, Definium. Holy shit, what's going on with Definium? I'm gonna have to get you. Holy crap! Is there news or just everybody likes the new ticker? I didn't. You look at my psychedelic team. Wow. All right. Well, you should be long-term bullish on it. This used to be MindMed, folks, right? My position up, 208% right now on Definium. Let's go to the trade desk. Does anybody have news? Why is DFTX up? You have to say, look at all info, because it's funny. I'll know the answer and I'll say, hey, why is this up today? I know why it's up. They're like, well, the sector is looking good. I'm like, no, dude. Oh, the company announced whatever. I'm like, exactly. So let's see what we get. The rebrand, new positive news and messaging today. An educational campaign. Phase 3. See, it's all bullshit, right? Well, unless this is it. I mean, Definium Therapeutics introduces rerouting. Is it routing or routing? Minds, an educational campaign exploring LSD. All right. Well, you know what? I like it. Oh, hey, so yeah, I got the long calls ran away from me. So I'm going to start doing this more. I don't drink anymore, obviously, folks, but I love, I've been watching this stuff, 0 days to expiration, right? Keep an eye on these calls that I sent out an alert on. If we fill the gap, these calls might end up printing money. But anyway, all right, let's step through. I'm going to look into this. I like the fact that, let me just click on this headline again, folks. Can you believe we are in a live trade brief? There's a publicly traded psychedelic company that's using LSD, phase 3 trials, and they're going to have an educational campaign. Can we get God is good. MM120, ladies and gentlemen, is absolutely crushing it. So if you're new or anything like that, Definium, it's up 13% right now. It's up 25% month to date. Remember, folks, these are, they're lottery tickets, but they're biotech names, folks. Trump's FDA commissioner said what? Psychedelics are a priority for this administration. So you know what? Looking at this, that's a good pop. I might sell some calls against it out to, so let me show you my existing position. Analyze. I am long synthetic stock out to January of 2027. I think, ladies and gentlemen, they have Jan 28. I should be doing this tomorrow in AR, but that's all right. It was at the top, showing the biggest pop today. So let's just talk about it. Look, you could do synthetic stock out to Jan of 28. The new trade today would be synthetic stock at the 17th strike all the way out to Jan 28. But let me talk about what I'm going to do with my position right now. I'm long 10 synthetic stock contracts. I'm going to sell February. Let's look at the at the money straddle at 17. That's $3, folks. Feb, it's almost $4. So holy crap, the options market is saying we could see a high in February up to $21 or a low of 13. I'm obviously on the bullish side of that. Is there premium in a 20? Yeah. I'm going to sell, stick with me, 5 of the 20 strike calls out to February. Okay. Why? And I'm filled. Ladies and gentlemen, I just brought in $350, which does what? It lowers my cost basis, right? Let me group all these things together. But look at this right here, right now. Long-term bullish 10, I only sold 5 against it. Why? Because if between now and the third Friday in February, breaking news, the MindMed CEO just said the FDA called and pre-approved MM120. The stock's up 300% right now. If I had sold the full 10 calls against that, I'd be getting wiped out. Leaving 5 naked, for lack of a better word, lets them run. I want that to happen. So I'm going to group this all together and I'm going to show you what the potential profit target is. It will say what? Unlimited. Infinite. It's a synthetic stock position. If between now and a month from now, it rips above 20, I'll probably close those 5 calls. But if we get up to 20, either way, I keep the $350, folks. Okay. So sold 5, brought in $350, right? It lowers my cost basis. Okay. Any questions on I could rip through it. Let's do Definium. I'll keep calling it MindMed. Unlike I don't call Meta, I call it Facebook. I will call this one Definium. It's funny because whether it's Cybin, I read a good article the other day that the names are trying to grow up. This ain't the 2021. Wiz just got back from his life-changing experience, and then the Benzinga Capital Conference. Cybin, MindMed. They're growing up, folks. They're moving to what names? Cybin is Helus. MindMed became Definium, right? So we're growing up a little bit, which is awesome. Okay, exactly. Alphabet versus Google. Atai is having a sympathy pop here. Atai is going to get off the mat and it's going to rip. I guarantee you here. Okay. I'm keeping, even though we got a little pop going towards that 68.75 that I sent the trade alert out at. I'm holding on to this trade. I'm not closing it. There's my bullish on America trade. Raytheon, year to date, man, crushing it. I got a synthetic stock on. Let's go look at the chart of Raytheon. I'm going to sell some short calls against it. Or if it just stays on a tear, I might sit on my hands here. There's a tear. Earnings are this time next week. So I'm going to take advantage of we might sell the news here, folks, just like with the financials. Look at this. Buy the rumor. Raytheon's doing great. Sell the news. Now, one of the reasons we saw a rip in the past week, week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry, right? This rip, ladies and gentlemen, has a reason. I believe we need to have a defense budget next year increased by 50%. 1.5 trillion. Donald J. Trump said 2 weeks ago he wants a $1.5 trillion defense budget. He said it right here. Raytheon ripped. I think we're going to at least hover going into earnings. We might sell the news, folks. They might knock the cover off the ball, give the best guidance Raytheon has ever given in its life, and the stock still go down. They did that. I think they did that a year ago. Remember, it was like knock the cover off the ball, great earnings or forward outlook, and the stock went down. What happened? We bought it again. Remember, folks, you welcome. Buy the rumor, sell the news. So, short calls for the week on Raytheon. I'm going to sell against my long-term bullish position. We're at about 200. That's about 375. What's the at-the-money straddle out to Friday? Jan 20. Ooh, $5. 20. So the 205 calls would be way conservative. So I'm going to do those. Why? Because the dudes in Davos and, might get up and I'm Donald J. Trump and I declare war on everybody right now. The market will crash. Raytheon will pop. So great long-term bullish position in Raytheon. JP Morgan Iron Condor. I already talked about it. I'm not touching it. All it needs to do is go right through the uprights. So we put on a bull put spread last week when what? JP Morgan sold the news. I said, buy it, add to it down here. And then I legged into an Iron Condor. So the Iron Condor is looking fine. Short calls for JP Morgan. Let's go take a look at the chart. It doesn't get any more perfect than this. Buy the rumor, sell the news. And I said 310 is the good bounce line here. So short calls on JP Morgan. Let me just look at the at-the-money straddle real quick. 310. That's $6. You know what? Where the short call is for the Iron Condor, I'd sell a 315. Write that down. 315 for JP Morgan. That's the weekly call I would sell for JP Morgan. What else do I got? Help. Oh, NNE. So Diana, you asked for NNE or good nuke names. Here are the 3 nuke names I'd buy. CCJ. CCJ. Write this down if you're new. Nuke names, nuke power. Don't buy crypto, buy the infrastructure, the chips, the blockchain crap. Don't buy the Dogecoin or the made up coin. Did you see the former mayor of New York City did a rug pull? He launched like some New York City coin, made $2 million and was out like in an hour. How do we do this? I mean, Trump and his wife did a rug pull too, but Oklo, OKLO. That's the second name. And then I am in NNE. Nano nuke. Nano. We found life at 30. And we're coming off the mat. We're rising again here. I'll sell a short call. The at-the-money straddle, 36. I'm going to sell 136 against my NNE. And then Amazon. Let me group all my stuff together. Grouping, NNE. Amazon, getting ready for earnings. Did they confirm them yet? I'm still waiting, man. Let's go to chat. Let's go to my trade floor. When will Amazon report Q4 earnings? Well, where's the only place to confirm this? Amazon Investor Relations page. Not my chat, not whatever this is. See, it says it. What's it say right there? unconfirmed. The only place formally, legally, is the Amazon Investor Relations page. So clearly they haven't put that out yet. Why do I care about this? Here is the last earnings, folks. Holy crap, fantastic. Oh no, AI freak out. If we did not have this AI freak out, Amazon would be up at 270 right now. I guarantee you. I'm pretty damn sure not only are they going to report blowout, we own Christmas again, like we do every year, they're going to report some really good AI stuff. I think we're going to blow out. Okay. Yeah, look at Mitch and Arrow. Arrow's our badass F-15 Strike Eagle pilot. And in the nuke space, she's our intel gatherer. She talked about the uranium ETF, right? All right. I have existing positions in Amazon. I have synthetic stock, and I also have the earnings trade. I have a Feb earnings trade on that's just sitting there in the background. I don't care that it's down right now. It's a Feb earnings trade. So that's bullish. But I will, with my synthetic stock, look at some short calls out to Friday. We fell off the ledge at 238. Quick look at the my 240s. I'm going to sell a 240 call for my synthetic stock. I'll put them at $1. And filled at the ask. I like it. Grouping. All right. Any questions on existing positions? Did I do short calls for everything? Does anybody have any short calls needed on any long-term bullish positions? Absolutely love what we're doing, man. Good stuff. Okay. What did we need? Is who we wanted CBOE, right? Somebody needed CBOE, or was it Raytheon? CBOE? Everybody wants CBOE? Let's go do CBOE. Both. Mine or Definium. Here we go. CBOE. I'm going to rip 270s, the stock price. We're going to go out to Jan 28. We're going to sell a 270 put. We're going to buy a 270. Man, there are people. I remember Mitch, what did we get? I remember like 100 something. I remember doing synthetic stock at like, yeah, look at that. At like $100, folks. I remember doing it because it was easy to do my disaster put. If you did synthetic stock on CBOE at $100, 108. I love that. I was close. Ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome for that. So we ain't risking 28 grand. No, thank you. I'm just showing you that synthetic stock is the same exact trade, essentially using options as long stock. The disaster put is what? Did somebody do the math? 210? Somebody, what's 20% of 270, folks? Somebody do the math real quick for me as 210. I used to have to do this stuff, and now I don't care. 215. All right, you guys. There isn't a 215. I'll go with the 210. So there you go. All right. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the synthetic stock I would do on CBOE today. And then what did I say out to Friday? Somebody remind me. I didn't say, did I? Let's go look. Let's look at the chart real quick. Rolling over a little bit. Preston, I already said this. There is no 215. Jan 28 strikes have a 210 and a 220 strike. There is no 215 strike. They're $10 wide. No worries. If I was going too fast, I apologize. So that's a call. And I said, what? Was it 272.5? No, that's too close. That's too aggressive. 275. And don't forget, folks, CBOE, look at this, 134,000 shares traded. I promise you, folks, if every TGO member bought 100 shares of CBOE right now, we'd pop the stock above 275 almost instantaneously, right? Does everybody understand that? This is the, oh, I got to grab a screenshot of this. Let me grab a screenshot so I can send this out as an alert. This is the trade I would do right now on the Chicago Board Options Exchange. I already gave you my commit criteria. I mean, it's the bank. CBOE 120. I'll grab a screenshot of the metrics. I already have one of these in account 3469, so I don't need a new one of these. I love it. You have other TGO fellow squadron mates that are up hundreds of % in this name. What's the threat? There isn't a threat technically right now. Any time in my life of trading options, which is 35 years, however long it is, some people have tried to make their own kind of options exchange and it's always failed. If that day ever comes, we'll talk about it. So there you go, John. What was the other one? I could do Definium real quick. Let's just rip. Well, yeah, it's 17. Definium. I was going to talk about this tomorrow, but I'm on a roll. Jan 28. We've peaked and faded a little bit, but let's do 17. Sell the 17 put, buy the 17 call. The disaster put would be, what's that? That would be 15, right? Or is it 12? Somebody do the math. And then do the short call that I just did out to February. But remember, folks, don't do, what did I do? The 20s. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. Let me step through this. Let me slow down. I would not do, if you're only doing one contract in this name, I would not do this leg. Because if you sell that Feb call and you wake up 2 days from now and Pfizer bought Definium, you're going to get destroyed in the short call. If it's a gentle destroy, you might survive. If it's breaking news, the stock's up 500%, you're going to get destroyed. So don't do that. The only way I would do this leg is if it's a ratio, like I showed you. What does that mean? That means maybe 10, 10, 10, and 5. Or it could be 5, 5, 5, and I don't know, 2. Do you understand me? Give me a vertical head nod that you understand me. Okay? That is what I would do with Definium. It's called a ratio, right? Leave some calls naked in case the best thing happens. Everybody understand this, right? DFTX 120. I don't think you can do that because there's no liquidity. We looked at a synthetic stock on SIL, PSIL. Don't you get like some options warning or something like that? There's something weird in SIL, folks. Didn't we look at this before? Okay. So I have an existing Definium position. I'm not putting this one, adding it to my portfolio. I already have one, so you guys know that. But what are they talking about? SIL is the Advisor Shares Psychedelic ETF, right? It's got Definium and Heal and Atai and Gilgamesh or whatever. It's got stuff in it. So you could buy shares of this, but I think we tried to do synthetic stock and you get a weird, and there's no volume, right? Nobody's in here. Okay. You can try. I thought we did this before, but it didn't. There was something about the options. Got dividend with Amazon paid weekly. MZ. JG, you trading these weird things? It gives you a dividend. Where I don't understand. Yield max. When did this thing launch? The middle of last year or year and a half ago. I don't like the look of that chart. I don't get it. I can add it to my look into board. There you go. John throwing at JG throwing out a potential trade idea. Okay. Let me make sure I covered everything. I was thinking, well, I mean, I have an existing JP Morgan position, but I like, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, really didn't even sell the news that much. JP Morgan, I'm sorry, Goldman Sachs, but I like, this is a solid chart on JP Morgan. Whenever we get to the 310, 30, 300 level, it's a big buy signal. Well, we're getting close on time. I don't want to throw a trade out over my shoulder. Since we did Definium today, which was a psychedelic, we usually do in tomorrow, an accelerated retirement. I'll punt JP Morgan to tomorrow, but we might even look at like a bullish double vertical type of trade, like a bull put spread, but buy some March calls up here. Okay, remember once we get past the February volatility train wreck, March usually comes in like a lion. And the financials will rise again. And remember, folks, just like Mo and some other smart TGO members do, you should have a calendar reminder that says what? Buy financials ? About 3 weeks before financial earnings every quarter. So JP Morgan is a gift on this pullback. Either get into a synthetic stock or let's wait, a little dust to settle here. And maybe, it's on my, lessons learned board. With my AI freakouts, we're going to do a better job of pounding AI freakouts into the dirt, like an Amazon, like an NVIDIA or whatever. But what was NVIDIA in the news for today? I saw some NVIDIA news. What was going on with NVIDIA? Journal said something. What was it? And then don't forget that the reason I'm keeping on my my Tredge, my bearish double vertical, is Trump talking and the tariff decision. Does anybody did they didn't give us a potential new tariff? I mean, that's why this is weird, right? Somebody's leaking it, right? Remember the abortion leak? With today's opinion not including the tariffs case, observers say it could be several weeks. Okay, so another reason to put on or to hold the Tredge. Even though, some of you might have closed it today. If you closed your bearish double vertical Tredge from last week, good on you. Because you wrote down or you listened to me when I said what? If you get a violent move in the direction of your Tredge, close it. So today, 1%, and I think we gapped down 1.5% today. That's the definition of a violent move. You could have closed your Tredge and re-entered it if you felt so. But I'm going to sit on my hands with the Tredge and just let it sit in the background. Okay. Oh, did they, Jeff? Their own robo taxis? I'm a chip maker and I'm moving into. Are they trying to be Amazon? We have an NVIDIA put back spread on out a year. I think NVIDIA is going to be like one of my Peloton calls. Remember Peloton at 150 COVID? I'm like, it'll be a clothes rack in a year or two. Pound Peloton into the dirt. You know what's on my idea board? I'll leave you with overpriced yoga wear. They've been the new CEO or the old CEO might be coming back in. You know, the guy kind of squandered it, folks. This was a $512 stock down at one. I mean, this might be a dead cat bounce and it might have lower to go. It's on my idea board. I've been seeing a lot of coverage about it lately. The board might be bringing the old CEO back in who kind of did all the good stuff. You know, I'm wearing Aloe right now, so I'm wearing a competitor, but it's on my idea board. I live in Boca Raton. There are women and men who've never seen the inside of a yoga studio, and this is all they wear. So I don't think this is a Peloton. This might be a potential. I might throw a couple long calls, lottery calls. I did, Bruce, that was part of the coverage that I saw. That's interesting too. So, or take the other side of the trade. Wiz, this is, it's too late. Lulu was a flash in the pan. This was the, 2020 to 2024 heyday, right? Everybody's locked up at home, sitting in their Zoom meetings in their yoga outfits. But all right, let me check my groups and see if I got any intel going on here. All right, I think I'm good. Any other questions, concern? Oh, you guys don't need to. Exactly, Karen. Fashion trends are changing. Let me go blast out these alerts right now. I forgot to do that. My bad. Since it's a joint brief, what's cool? I'm actually going to be able to do this in the app going forward. So you're not even going to have to come to Zoom. You can watch what we're doing right now on here. I just need to grab some code and drop it in the Zoom, and I'm going to be able to just click this go live button. Good stuff going on. Really, really good stuff going on. But let me, I'll send out these alerts right now. Okay. And I'll grab a screenshot of all the short calls too. All right. Liking what's going on. What am I waiting for here? Raytheon. Somebody asked about Raytheon earlier. Did we roll over a little bit? All right. I'm going to cancel that one. And I'm going to go with the 202.5 for Raytheon, since it looks like we rolled over a little bit. RTX. Yeah. All right. So Raytheon, I'm going to sell the 202.5 instead of the 205. There we go. All right, folks, good stuff. I'll send out the alert right now with the trades and the short calls, and then I'll see many of you tomorrow for AR at 10 a.m., the accelerated retirement brief. If you're a freebie, I live streamed this on YouTube. You're welcome. I do this rarely just to kind of show you what a normal live trade brief is here at Top Gun Options. If you just want to learn how to trade Amazon, $97 a month, man. It's a crappy bottle of wine. The service isn't, it's the price. Or you can join our full throttle for $295 a month. It's live trade briefs Tuesday, Wednesday, solo Amazons every Monday at 10 a.m. That's why we're having a joint brief right now, because we were off yesterday celebrating the life of Dr. King. I really wish some people in this country would preach nonviolence. I think, I'm not going to speak for Dr. King, clearly, but storming a church is probably not what Dr. King meant by peaceful, nonviolent. I think he'd be mortified that attacking a house of worship and then saying it's a First Amendment issue President Trump threatens new tariffs until there's a deal to purchase Greenland. So before I go, I know I'm stringing out here. My apologies. Remember, this was the last time the president did a trade freak out right there, man. So if you don't have a Tredge on, get one on. We might have one of these, folks. This was Liberation Day. We printed money, man. We were doing bearish double verticals down here, and then we put a bullish on America trade right there that's up hundreds of percent. So get ready. He seems like a guy that doesn't back down once he gets the I want Greenland, and I'm going to tariff you until we get a deal done. We could see another tariff freak out. So get your bearish double vertical on. If you're not a member, join, and you can have access to the one that we currently have on right now. Okay. All right. I'll send out a replay email in a couple minutes, and then also post the replay as well on the member page. All right. Have a great rest of your day, folks. God bless. Fights on. Namaste and Basi. Wiz out.